think I think we're live. I think everything's up and running. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay and see the screen. You should be able to see Bitcoin streaming currently. Thanks for smashing up that like button, guys. We're at 4 likes so far. Let me pin a comment here and we'll get the stream going. All right, let me pin this up here at the top for us. So as always, guys, we're going to do the same thing we always do. We're going to run through Bitcoin first. And after we do Bitcoin, we are going to run through Ethereum. After we do Ethereum, we're going to go ahead and run into any altcoins that you guys start putting on the list. As always, I don't usually have people helping me out managing the stream. So if I miss your altcoin, please do let me know that I missed it so that I can catch up to it and get that covered for you, okay? Let's see what we got here so far for altcoins. I'll start writing them down. What is up? How do we have in the house today? We got Addie, Brian, Daneska. What's up? Looks like Spang was here at some point. Oh, maybe you're still here. Apex, looks like the first request for an altcoin is coming from you, my friend. Hello and welcome back. Hope you've been enjoying the streams. FARTBOY is what we're looking for you. Let me write that down. Hope you're doing okay. Hope everything's going well. Dave, you said Ethereum. I got Ethereum down. We got 10 people in the room right now. Let's hammer up that like button a little bit higher, guys. Let's get it up to 11. If there's 11 of us here, there's 11 likes. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we got Ethereum set up. We got FARTBOY written down. The next thing that you guys were looking for was Solana TA, so we will cover that. We got SUI for Daneska. Got that written down. Ski Mask Dog. Jackson Boyle, is that a coin? What is up, Nameless Monster? Back in his house. Good to see you again. All right, let me just make sure I got this. For Jackson Boyle, if you might, let me know what Ski Mask Dog means. If that's a coin or something, let me know. If it's something on a deck screener, I will need you to give me a contract address so that I can give you TA over that, okay? So I'll write down your chart request, but do try to keep me updated, okay? I'll write that down now. And we'll see what's up, dude. I'm never surprised by the name of some of these coins nowadays, man. They blow my mind. All right, Cookie is another coin that we've been tracking in all our live streams that was in a possible area for accumulation. I did buy some in spot. Have not looked at it. I've been looking away. So Chainlink is the next one we have coming in. That's a great coin to discuss. Whether or not it gets another low, we will see. And that's where I was looking to finally start DCAing. From Spen, we got Grid on the DEX screener. Let me write that down. On the 1 hour and 4 hour. All right, Jackson Boyle, that is on Coinbase. Dude, thank you for letting me know. All right, got a star next to it, sir, and I will get that done. Then we have AVAX on our list. All right. Looks like we have enough people here and everything's going swell. So if you guys are seeing the stream okay on your end and everything's going good, let's start getting it done, yeah? Let me take a sip of my coffee here. I want to say first and foremost, honestly, I truly, truly appreciate you guys coming. I really, really do. It means a ton that you're here, that you're taking time out of your day to be here for this live stream. So let's quit wasting your time and let's get it going. The whole stream will be timestamped, so if you have to leave at any point, please do let me know. Oh, good. I'm starting my stream off by getting an alert to let me know that all my bookings for my Mexico trip are locked in, baby. That's a good way. Now the vibe's ready. Yeah? All right, so we got VELO next. VELO is for Ted A. How have you been, Ted? Good to see you in the stream. I hope you're doing okay. All right, let's get this thing going. We'll run up some Bitcoin. First and foremost, before we get too deep into the stream, I want to say that in our community, you'll see a lot here on the stream that is in the way of our chart currently, and that is because we took some longs over the weekend. I think it was on Saturday, and we were playing longs from this region with easy invalidation. I sent out the message in the group. I've also posted on Twitter to show you guys that this is the kind of thing you can expect in the group. Rode this up pretty far. We sold out as we were coming up. I think I was 100% out of my long by here, because I didn't expect the rest of this to happen and then for it to pump. So actually I was 100% out by here, but you know, this was still a 4.29% move without leverage. So if you include leverage for that move, it was a hell of a trade. I want to show you really quickly. This was another trade we took in the community. We were talking about watching this XRP move as a possible 3 waves in A, 3 waves in B, and 5 waves in C. That goes to 1 through 1.382. That was also in the community. And our third trade we were watching over the weekend was AVAX. We were watching this move up. We were plotting on it somewhere, I believe, right in here. So it's been an amazing move to get that up to the target box also. All right, let's go ahead and start talking about Bitcoin's macro picture here, and then we'll move into the lower time frame scenarios. I urge you that if anybody has questions, please just pop them in the chat. I have that slid off to the side so I can see when you guys do say something. As always, you know, the emojis in the chat are greatly appreciated. It helps more people see the streams, so it helps us get this message out there to more people. All right, let's get this thing going. So on a weekly, we were watching for Bitcoin. Let's go to linear so that we have all our targets making sense here. We were looking at Bitcoin on a linear with 1-2 stacking off the lows, going into 3-4 stacking into the highs. Because we had triple 1-2 stacking, we were looking at the upside with triple 3-4 stacking, right? I don't believe what we had was the low of a wave 4. I think it would be quite out of proportion to the rest of the wave 4s. Typically, the 3-4 stacking gets larger as it goes, so I really do expect us to go back test that 100 grand. I think people are pretty bullish right now, yeah. So everybody's like, this is all it took was a little bit of upside and everybody got bullish. But something that we should be watching for on a weekly is our RSI resistance trend that the has been fighting, right? So if Bitcoin can push itself up and break through the weekly resistance trend line, that is the bearish divergence on the RSI. I don't want to cut through all the price action to show it. So this is our valid regular bear divergence here on the RSI with higher closures on price action, but not on RSI, making somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders on your RSI, right? So if you continue to get this resistance, it comes up, challenges the MA and can't get through on there, moves down. This is the 50 level of the RSI, the bull control zone. If we lose that, we'll likely make a quick dip down, right? So I think that would be this leg of price action in the final dip of what would be the possible wave 4. All right, so now that we understand where the macro is going and that if we do get that last dip, it is healthy, right? That's how we get this Bitcoin target of around 167,000. And if we're lucky, you know, maybe it gives a little bit more in a more bullish scenario, but we're not going to talk about that until we get there, okay? All right, let's go to the lower time frames and take a peek at what we think may be going on here for Bitcoin. Let's go to an 8-hour for now. So something that we can see here on the RSI is what? You have potential hidden bear divergence with a much higher cooked up RSI than you do on the price action closures. Now, I will say this move to the upside has been quite extraordinary. Whether you plot it on log or linear doesn't really matter. I'm going to go with log because of the time frame that we're on. When we were looking at this move toward the downside, my primary count for this, and the reason I want to side with it being an A wave, is because my eyes want to pick out a WXY as my most primary count for the micro, meaning it's likely an A. After that, we see a 3-wave motion to the upside that could have likely been a B wave. as long as Bitcoin is kind of staying in this deceleration or corrective channel towards the downside, let's clean this jazz up a little bit, then we can still be locally still bearish, right? So the thing that we would be looking for now is that if this were to be making, let's clean all this stuff up, if this were to start making a C wave to the downside, well then you were looking for a wave 2 or B to come in this region anyways, right? So outside of this being so extraordinarily steep and what I would like to almost call impulsive, maybe it's just a drastic move to take out the liquidity in the market due to this being highly leveraged, right? So you did peak up and into the internal fair value gap of liquidity left behind in this 8-hour candle. And you also turned the external liquidity here, right? What's up, Marco? How are you? So in my opinion, I do think that we should continue to look for this move to the downside. I know it's not going to make me your friend, but in my opinion, if this is a resistance after a wave 1 or A to the downside, which I think is over, why did that happen? There we go. Let me lock this in place. So I think this is a 1 or A here to the downside and a 2 or B to the upside. And now my most probable count would have to be a C to the downside in a strong 5-wave motion, right? Excuse me. This C is for something else. Let's delete this so we don't confuse everybody. So this C would be in a strong 5-wave motion. Now, if I am wrong, right? And let's say, which is totally feasible, everybody's wrong, the charts do what they want sometimes. If this 3-wave motion is actually not 3 waves, and somehow, some way, this is a diagonal, right? A 5-wave motion towards the downside. Excuse me. You could be talking about this being the ABC within a W, or a 3-wave motion within a W. So let me get rid of this, because you can't have, or should say, you can have, but it's low probability, to have a WXY within a W, right? So we don't want to see this as a WXY. We would rather see it as an ABC towards the downside that ends here, with the possible ending diagonal maybe here within the end of W, right? So if this is 3 down, 3 up, if we only get 3 down, then we know it's a Y, right? Yeah, I'll write down tau for you, Marco. The other thing that we should consider is I'm sure we have plenty of people in the house right now that have just recently witnessed a WXY, and that was on FARTBOY, okay? We talked about this early on. So I'm just showing you this to show you the pattern of what a WXY looks like. So 3 up, 3 down, and 3 up again. That's a WXY. Most common target is 1.236 to the 1 line, right? It likes to stop somewhere in there. You can go reference my YouTube videos. We called this out pretty amazingly. Even from down in here, we were telling you, dude, that's still 120-something% gain. Why wouldn't you take the chance, right? So it went amazing for you. Let's go back and finish our talk on Bitcoin. So now that you understand what a WXY looks like, now you can kind of understand how we could get ourselves in that situation here again, right? If we only get 3 to the down and 3 to the up and 3 to the down again in a really sharp sell-off from the 1 through 1.236, that could still be a Y leg, right? So that's something to consider. So both scenarios, whether a C or a Y to the downside, bring you into the 1 through 1.382 corrective box. The only way it should be breaking 1.236 is if you are getting that C wave in a 5-wave motion that we talked about. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And even those C waves, man, they can get drastic. You can see a C wave push to a 1.618 like a boss, right? So never underestimate the power of a C wave, okay? Whether it's to the upside or the downside. All right, so that is Bitcoin. Does anybody have any questions over Bitcoin at all? If you do, please put them in the chat. I would love to hear them. If not, I will continue moving on until I see something pop up. Dude, we have seen some very powerful C waves in these markets. That is a good point. All right, so on Ethereum, I like to chart this on linear. Whoopsie, I made a little noob mark there. And I'm looking for the wave 5 to the upside. Now, how I'm getting my wave 5 target is a corrective trend-based fib extension from the lows or 0 point to the highs of the 3 to the lows of the potential wave 4. Now, if it were to make a bottom here, we would look for around a $6,000 wave 5 all-time high being made for Ethereum here. So it would be amazing. It would be in a strong 5-wave motion to the upside. Now, we don't know whether or not that bottom is in. But I do, we'll go into the micro and talk more. But I do want you to note this V-shaped recovery on your RSI. And you're starting to combat the daily moving average, right? If we can see this RSI push up, get above the MA, run its head into the daily bull control zone, just like we noted back here, right? If it can get between those, you'll see a sandwiching effect where it rides up the MA as support, pushes it through the bull control zone, turns it into support, and then we can see another challenge at those highs. So that's just the RSI in a nutshell. Now, if wave 4 low is in, that's great. We like to see a hidden bull divergence on the RSI versus the price action. That means higher closures on the price action and lower closures on the RSI in an uptrend. It's a hidden bull divergence. That's how we get into these great reversal points. All right, so locally, I will say that I do want to side with the low is not in for Ethereum on an 8-hour or any other time frame. I want to side with this was the high of a wave 3, the low of an A 3-wave motion and a high B wave here. And now we're looking for corrective extensions for a target towards the downside, right? And that is to the 1 through 1.382. Well, we've come to 1.236. Now, when I break down the micro waves within this possible C wave for Ethereum, what I notice here is a wave 1 into a possible 2 and another wave 1 into a possible 2. When I see that, a lot of times I have to say, well, this is likely 3-4, 3-4 then, right? So I'm short on Ethereum, and I'm okay with being wrong. I shared this short in my community. This was our area of interest at the one line of a 3-wave motion up. So Ethereum tried to front run everybody just a little bit and hold out, but it didn't quite work out the way it wanted to. Excuse me, I should have been on log for that. Because the channel was applied on log. So this, what I'm seeing is 3 up, 3 down, and a possible 5-wave motion towards the upside in a wave 4. After which we should get a wave 5 to the downside where I'm looking to get into some longs if it's given to me on Ethereum, right? So we'll keep our macro extensions on and add our micro extensions for a wave 5 target from 0 to 3 to the possible potential wave 4 high, right? If Ethereum breaks this high, basically the wave 4 will invalidate if it breaks $4,300, right? So if we see Ethereum start to break $4,300, this is a low or a pivot for the potential wave 4, right? But for now, I'm staying fixated in the path that I'm waiting for one more low, okay? What the other thing that I really like about this is if this is a wave 3 to the downside, we can count a clean 5 waves within the wave 3. That's a really good thing to look for, okay? Let's check the selling volume. We don't have a divergence on the RSI here, and we typically, if this were to be a wave 3 and this were to be a wave 5, we typically would see a divergence here, right? But instead we got lower lows along with price action, so it's not a divergence. Whereas typically in Elliott wave, you'll see a nice divergence between 3 and 5. So when this comes down in 5 waves, if it does, you would like to see lower closures on price action, but not on RSI, right? So likely this is going to be your next entry signal around a 30 RSI level for Ethereum on the 4-hour and around a price action of around 3,672. Yes, that's what we're doing right now, Nameless, running you through the low time frame scenario, sir. So for me, I'm on the lower time frames here, waiting for us to get this 5-wave motion to the downside, right? So I'm short here with invalidation on the highs because I'm not going to risk it coming up more on me, okay? So for now, we're biased towards one more move to the downside with local invalidation on the highs. So far, I would say the micro, from what I've seen before the stream, has not confirmed 5 waves to the downside yet. Let's go and take a peeksy poo. What matters here the most, Nameless, is what we're seeing though, right? So let's be realists off the lows. Everything in Elliott wave moves in 3 waves and 5 waves, right? If it's not one of these things, then you're wrong, right? Now these can chain together to make other patterns, but the basis is the same, right? So that I'll go over that here in a second for you, sir, about the log versus linear. But the basis and the building blocks of Elliott wave is all 3s and 5s. So when we look at this chart back here, right here, you can see what to start the motion. 3 waves up, right? That's how we know this is not an impulse. An impulse doesn't start with 3 waves up. So we see 3 waves up, 3 waves down, 3 waves up. Likely in a 333, that's a WXY within an A wave the majority of time. Okay? Now this could be a long convoluted B wave is my best choice here with a low. I don't like exactly how this is made, but I can't be picky. So I think you saw 1 into 2 somewhere in here, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm siding with this the top because when I look at volume, it ends on high volume. So I'm going to side with that as a C wave ending on high volume, right? I'm very open to more highs, but I'm not going to sit through them on my short. All right? All right, so let's get all this stuff off our screen and let's go talk about why I chart Ethereum on linear versus log. I'm doing a different chart so we don't cause too much rubbish on the chart that we were working on. All right, so if we look at just the motion here that we're focused on for a possible new all-time high, let's go back to log. And I want you to envision this as a 3 or a 5 wave motion up, right? So in my opinion, and what I was seeing, was that you have some sort of 1, 2, 1, 2 stacking here, right? And that ran into 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. I think that's the end of the 5 wave motion. And then you see a successive 3 waves to the downside. So what I've learned in Elliott wave is how to use the trend-based fib extensions. I'll make sure I didn't change it. I did. So what we want to do is measure from the low of the first move to the high to the low. Now when you look at this on log, that means probability says this is not an impulse. This is an ABC. Right? That's why. Now you have to side with it being an ABC because it doesn't break the 1 through the 1.382. In Elliott wave, a wave 3 likes to commonly be extended. Now, I think that this is an impulse. I think that due to the structures within this having 5 waves and this being 5 waves, and where we are in the cycle, when we look at linear, we actually break through those extensions and we can claim a true impulse here, right? Now, You can still see this as an ABC because sometimes ABCs do make a 1.618. Let's remove everything so we can look at this. And the reason I'm on linear is because when I look at the macro, it helps the whole entire chart make sense, because in the end, we have to really be on weekly to clearly evaluate Ethereum's targets, right? So that's where I come from with wanting to be on linear. Now my cycle target for Ethereum is this zone here on linear. So that's why I'm also siding with this. Then when I look at my micro counts, this is 3 down, and this is 3 up, and 3 down, and a WXY. More than likely, this is a flat in your Y. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes for its 5th wave. You will get divergences of the regular variety between this point. You may even get a momentum divergence if you are lucky and they give it to you, meaning that you will see the volume continue to fall off and not make higher highs on the volume. We'll see how the market maker wants to sell it to you. But that is why, Marco. Because I do my weekly analysis and my large time frame analysis on linear to keep my targets realistic. Now, that's why you'll also notice a lot of YouTubers will give you bullshit targets like $27 XRP, $18 ADA. What's another good one? Can anyone think of one off the top of their head that might be a little bullshitty to you? Maybe if an asset was worth pennies, maybe even like just a couple pennies, and you were claiming it was going to multi-dollars, that might be a hard one to follow also. So, so anywho's in which, yeah, I'm sure, I bet you guys could even supply some links within the chat from videos of people who were assholes that gave you moon targets that were very unrealistic. And I think those things hurt this space. I think it hurts investors' confidence in this space. And I think the best thing we can do is be realistic. So that's why I stick to my linear targets. All right, so we're 30 minutes into the stream. We've only hammered out Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I'm going to pick up the pace quite a bit. Yeah, XRP, right? Do you really think XRP is going to $100? Maybe it will, but it ain't fucking right now. So I'm just going to put a couple laughing emojis because you guys crack me up, dude. I hope you guys are having fun. I'm having an absolute great time. Everybody thinks Bitcoin's going to $1 million. And when this next move commences and Bitcoin runs it up, right, and we're at that 170, 167, get ready. Everybody's going to tell you 400's next, 500's next, millions next. Here's why. Blah, 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 blah. The news will have all the reasons. Everything will have all the reasons, right? So we covered Ethereum just now, Delta. Let me know if you have any questions over it. It will be in the video and timestamped for you. All right, so it looks like, guys, the very first chart request that we have so far in is FARTBOY. If I missed one above that, please do let me know. And if we got any new people that just come into the stream, please say hello. What countries are you guys coming from today? How's your day been? What's up? What other charts do we want to see, guys? If you have any other ones, get them in the chat. As always, thank you for coming today. This has absolutely been a great time. Let's get into the altcoins and let's start the stream on with FARTBOY. Here we go. All right, dudes. So this is something that we talked about stream after stream after stream. I am a no bullshit kind of person. I do all my analysis that way. I share my opinion, right? I try to keep it hyper objective. Now, when we looked at FARTBOY off the lows, something that I was pointing out to us early started way back here. Right? That's a 3-wave motion to start a move. A 3-wave motion is not a bullish motion. And I want you all to understand that. That is a corrective motion, a corrective start to something. The other thing I want you to see is on volume. Do you see this spike of volume on the highs? That is you being used as exit liquidity, my dude, right? This is you being sold to. You just became a consumer. This is exit liquidity. Ends on bullish order flow. Look what happened here again. Ends on high volume. That's you again being used as exit liquidity. You became the consumer so someone else could sell. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's the price at which that person wanted to own FARTBOY, happy days then. They're super satisfied with their purchases right now. All right, so the thing that we want to be looking at now is what happens after a WXY, right? That's what everybody's asking on Twitter. That's why all my DMs are blowing up. It's what is next? What is next, right? We've covered this a few times. What starts with 3 doesn't necessarily mean that it's not bullish. It just means that we have a little bit of a fucking delayed, lingering roadmap to get there, right? So the way that this would work out then is because what did we just learn in our earlier streams? That a WXY is likely the first move within an A, right? If it is to hold its lows. So this is our 50 moving average, exponential moving average, I apologize, on the daily. You can see that we're coming back to our 50 level of our RSI and the 50 level of our EMA. That is your daily bull control zone. If FARTBOY is to lose 0.3510 along with losing the 50 level of the RSI, then we will see this start to make some motions towards the downside in a 3-wave fashion, okay? Now, because this made a WXY to the upside, we can look for a minimum time in correction. Now that means FARTBOY should not put in a low until at least October 16th of 2025 on Thursday, right? So it's some way, somehow, this will chain together a 3-wave motion. And what the bulls want to see is it not take that low. I want you to keep this in mind for our play moving forward. This is going to be known as your invalidation of the bullish scenario, yes? That comes in around 0.1611. What is up, Mike North? XRP for you, my dude. We got it written down. How are you doing? What country are you coming to us from, my guy? And the rest of you is, where are you from, man? I'm West Coast America. All right, so that means we have to wait a little bit longer on FARTBOY to be calling lows, right? Because if this is a corrective structure towards the upside from this point till this point, probability says it needs at least X period of time in correcting before it's probable to have a low. Now, that's not a rule, but it is a probability thing that we've witnessed time and time and time again, right? So this is something that we can lean into with conviction. Now, what starts with 3 can chain together 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. And now that is how things build what? An ending diagonal or a wave 5, right? Both of which, or a C. So there's 3 things that can be made this way. So what you see is 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, and usually it is contracting, meaning that the wave 5 in the 3-wave fashion never gets bigger than the wave 3. And when we look at this to be like, oh shit, how will I know if my count's wrong? And what if we just get so bullish? Great question. If you were to put this on and you were to break the 1-to-1 measure, meaning that the wave 5 of the diagonal becomes larger or the same size as the 3, you're likely wrong and you're moving into a very bullish scenario. And that's something that we'll look at when we get to XRP, okay? And we'll talk about that when we get there. So that's what we want to be aware of on the macro for FARTBOY. So now let's go to the deck screener so we can look at all-time history for FARTBOY. Also, here's something we shared in our Discord community. You'll see the dumb squiggle on our chart. We drew this on. We were waiting for more highs. FARTCoin played out perfectly. It's been over and over again. We've been just having great calls in the community by multiple different people. What is up, Dirtman Ray? You're coming in asking about KAITO. Let me get that written down. Man, guys, you're going to have me on the stream for at least 2 hours today, huh? How's everybody? How's the stream quality out there, guys? How's everything going? I've been working hard to get the internet updated. I'm hardwired into the computer now, into the internet, so we should be getting a little bit better stream. Marco, for you, my dude, I got down HBAR and ONDO. Hey, Ray, you're a dirt man, so my question to you is, have you seen people training excavators or any sort of digger like that over the water, like over a water surface? I heard that's like the most legit way for people to learn how to smoothly grade a surface or how to make really smooth motions with the bucket. So I'll wait to hear back from you and see what you have to say, my dude. All right, so when we look at FARTBOY here on its all time, the thing that we have to consider is that the what if of how can this get going to the upside, right? So I'm going to delete everything here. And I want to say that off the lows, nothing so far has completed an impulse, right? So let's put a line on our actual lows so you can see it. That's our low, right? And ever since that low, the only thing we have seen is a three-wave motion and a three-wave motion, right? So we have this overall 3x3 motion, making it likely a WXY, okay? So if that's a WXY within an A wave, so 3 waves in A, we need to wait on 3 waves in B, and I want you to understand it can make a new high while making this. In my opinion, I have no interest on FARTBOY until that internal fair value gap right there. So what I'm looking for right now, and I'm going to be super patient. Number one, because we just saw that our minimum time in correction for FARTBOY should be until around October 16th, right? So this could just grind around in here, even make one more new high and still be really viable, okay? So this puts us around the 702 golden pocket area, if not down to 786. So my area that I'm looking for my next area of interest on FARTBOY is not 0.2621 down to not 0.2117, right? So what I would be looking for at that point in time then, let's get some stuffy jobs here, would be an A into a B, and then you're looking for a C wave to the upside, or somehow this starts to make a diagonal to the upside, which we will find out much, much later on, right? I can't give you any sort of probability towards diagonals until you were to start to get a three-wave motion here, right? And then we can say, wow, maybe that's a wave 4 and a diagonal, and maybe I'm going to get another push up in a 5 to make a new all-time high, right? So that would be how FARTBOY could chain this all together and still make an all-time high, right? Dude, Ray is the master at the machines. I was so stoked that I got to meet that guy while I was on my vacation in Florida, and I got a giant hug from him. Ate amazing food together on some dock. It was absolutely phenomenal to meet him and his family. So I wish I could go visit him in person again, man. But all right, let's keep on rolling. So does anybody here have any questions over FARTBOY? The other thing that I want to bring your attention to on FARTBOY is that this is the deceleration channel, okay? Or acceleration channel for the last corrective move that was made towards the upside. You can see that FARTBOY is under the 8-hour bull control zone value of 50 and the 8-hour 50 EMA. The other thing you should notice about that is that we hit it as resistance and built a bearish candle off of it. Now, if it loses this channel to the upside, I would say that would be the first push of a liquidity to the down, and that should come for support around 0.03. After that, I would look for some sort of three-wave motion, and it could make a new high, and then I would look for a very scary move towards the downside in 5 waves to the noted region we talked about earlier on in this stream. Okay? So that's everything I have for FARTBOY. If anybody has any other questions over FARTBOY, please do let me know. We'll cover them at that time. But that will be time-stamped in the stream for you. Okay, guys? All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next request, which is Sol. Let me get a sip of coffee here. All right. Excuse me. All right, let's get this party going. Here we go. So when we look at things through the lens of objectivity, right? So let's try to be super objective here. I'm only really going to, I'll show you the macro also, but I really want you to be aware of the possible micro, right? This is something that I'm sharing in my community because I think it's good to be in the know. Anyhow, if this was a wave 1 into a wave 2, let's put some math on here, because if it's not a wave 1 into a wave 2, then we should see a massive reaction by 1 through 1.382, right? But instead on Solana, what we get is a very strong motion to the downside. Where's my 3 at? My 3 in his house. Still on log, which is good. This could potentially be a wave 4, right? So we pulled that retrace fib from a 2 to a wave 3 low. And we're going to use the 0.618 as invalidation, right? If that is hit, likely it's going to make a new high. Now, what we see here is a potential 3-wave motion towards the upside. Ending on what? Ending on high volume, right, guys? So anytime, excuse me, I was getting a drink. Anytime we get a motion up in a 3-wave motion that's ending on high volume, we should consider it corrective for the moment, right? The thing that I would like to see here is that with the RSI making a hidden bear divergence, meaning cranking up really quickly, but price action didn't go as far, right? You can see we're well above these price actions, RSI closures. We're nowhere near our wave 2 yet, meaning to get hidden bear divergence. Solana might give you one more little pop or push up of the RSI, maybe even take this high here, get to around 217. But ultimately, you would want to see 5 waves to the downside. To finally finish would be wave 5 with invalidation at the 0.618. Now, another thing you could do, we'll try it, doesn't mean it always works out, but sometimes you would be able to place your base channel from 0 to 2 to 1. And a lot of times wave 4 will hit it as resistance and then reject. Instead, this wave through push through. So I would be hesitant to want to short Solana yet as a wave 4, right? I would still be just kind of being a little bit patient here. The reason why, let's see the math here from 0 to there to there. Let's see how this swing is working. So it hit a 1 to 1, and 1 through 1.382 is our most common. You could have a high end, but let's zoom in here on the hourly. That would need to be it. We need 5 waves down off a high to give some sort of conviction that the high is in. So far on a micro, that looks quite like a 3-wave motion. So if that's just 3, you might likely push up and get to that 215 high before we can consider a short. But what I would really like to see for a short on a Solana is a motion off of a high that gives us 5 waves to the downside. And then this is where we're looking to take a short with hard invalidation at those highs, okay? That way we have an actual setup, okay? All right, now let's delete everything and let's zoom out and talk about Solana's macro chart. If you guys have any questions over this, please do ask. I love talking about the charts. I feel like this is the time that you get to hang out with your super nerdy friends, right? Like in real life, nobody wants to hear about your crypto shit. You talk about crypto and everybody's like, yeah, but that's just for drugs and hookers, right? But when you get to talk to people who are actually involved in it, it's kind of fun, right? It's cool to know that there's other people in this. So. Now, we've talked time and time again. There's a couple different ways that I'm counting it. This would be, in my opinion, my most probable count. And we will talk about the reasons why as we go through this. Let's put some different colors on here. The big thing that you look for in Elliott wave is that 5 waves within wave 3 should be very visible to us, right? And when we can see 5 waves within wave 3, it often is kind of the bing, bing, bing. That's the ticket that, you know, that those motions were in. Now, this is where the roadmap gets a little cloudy, because what I want to say and what I think could happen are 2 different things. And I know people say all the time, like, oh, well, just pick one and don't be stuck in the middle of the road. But this is a chart that kind of gives me a lot of hesitation to want to short it. Let me get rid of this and this for right now. So we can see off the lows a possible 1 into 2, and a possible 1 into 2, and a possible 1 into 2. That means we need to look for triple 3, 4 stacking to the upside, right? Now, if this is going to be a wave 3, and a wave 4, and a wave 5, I move this out of the way, then we could try to say, maybe, yes, this is it, right? Now, what steers me away from this, and I'll show you, is I think that it would be really odd to have this size of a wave 2 in the 1-2 stacking, but then a smaller degree wave 4. And I'll show you what I mean when we use the extensions, right? So we can also show this on time, which is measuring from the highs of that wave 1 to the lows of its degree wave 2. And we go to its high. Let's get rid of that. And you can see that wave 4 didn't even meet a 1-to-1 trend-based fib time, right? Instead, we're not even at 0.618. We legit are just after the 0.382 in time. No, it's not a rule break, but they do say that you should see around a 1-to-1 relation or more of your wave 2 to 4 ratio, right? So a lot of times, right, for instance, this one, measure from the high of 1 to the low of 2, this wave 4 is in a 3-wave motion that comes in after its degree being a 1-to-1 relationship to each other in time. Another way that's really good to show this is a box. So if we put a box from high to low, that's what that degrees wave 2 look like. So let's go see what that degrees wave 4 should look like. It should be around that time. Now, can you see how that falls on a 1-to-1? But instead we got a little bit longer of a correction and a lot different of a style of correction, right? So you actually are looking for an alternation in structures, right? So when we look at this wave 2, it was a nice 3-wave motion. When we look at this wave 4, it's just chop, 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 right? It's very, very messy. It wasn't a very clear thing. It could have even ended over here when we actually count the micro, is another thing to consider. And this could even be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, that's one way to count it. The other way that I'm preferential to wanting to try to count this, even though it looks like crap so far, is what if the high was not in? Now, I sigh because it becomes harder to sell when we start trying to count it that way, yeah? So this is why I'm kind of wanting to be looking for the shorts on Solana. The other thing that I'm looking at on Solana, as long as we're here on the weekly, is extensions from low to high to low, hitting a 1-to-1, and a retracement fib from high to low, hitting around the 786, 888 area as resistance. Now, two things say we will likely take the highs. Making it up to this 888 or 90% retracement is the first thing that says we will likely make a new high. The second thing is this candle ended on bullish order flow, making it likely to take those highs again. So my curiosity is, will this be the start of a correction toward the downside where we at least go sweep this liquidity and touch this prior degree wave 4, if not this one, and move into the internal fair value gaps that were left behind from the breakout? I know this opinion won't make me the most popular, but it's something that we could see, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you can't get a new high. It doesn't mean this can't pop up one more time, make a new high before coming down. B waves are very, very tricky. It's something to consider. But as long as this 888 is hit and this is an uptrend, it means that the uptrend is likely to continue. The first sign of weakness that we will have that this is going to start coming down is if we lose the golden pocket 0.618 around 192.43. If that's lost, you kind of will be looking for the house of cards to start coming down. The other thing is what? Something that we keep talking about often in our RSI. The first one is going to be getting under and staying under the weekly moving average of the RSI, and that currently is around 56.85, okay? The next one will be losing the bull control zone value of 50 and the bull control zone weekly 50 EMA, which currently sits around 175.22. Remember, if you try to pick bottoms, you will get stinky fingers. Just like if you try to pick tops, it's going to make you look like a dumbass. So the thing that you could do for a better short would be to let this lower time frame make a 5-wave motion down that's valid and then short its retracement. Because why are you being such an asshole when you know, even if I got in, it goes down and then retraces back up, whatever, and I end up getting in at 179, you still have so much move left that if you're looking to use leverage on something like this, why not wait for a high probability short entry? Especially when we're talking about going to 80 to 52, if not a deep, powerful C wave due to the FOMO, in the opposite direction, right? A sell-off, right? The fear off. People shit their pants. Grandma's not going to make it till winter. That's a $40 Solana. I had a dream one night that I bought Solana at $36. So let's see if I can get that. But that is my opinions on Solana. If you have any other questions over it, let me know. All right, let's go over SUI. This is something that I own very little of now and don't believe in like I did. Wherever the hell it's at, I quit looking. Here it is. So, this is my issue with SUI. It begins here. This looks like a 3-wave motion, right? And then as soon as you begin to fall, you give overlap between that low and this high. For me, that makes it really, really hard for me to believe in a bullish, impulsive scenario of any kind. Now, what I think you could be looking at is that this is the first leg of a correction, and you are currently making a correction towards the upside before further downside. This is a nice internal fair value gap that was untouched and never took the external liquidity of any of this, right? Granted, you have this same thing to consider up here, right? So you do have liquidity on both sides, but what I'm saying is, due to the way SUI starts, I would say best case scenario, it pushes up in a corrective motion before coming down again, right? I would have a really hard time saying this is 1-2 stacking, and I'll show you why. My second 1-2 is larger than my first, making it more probable this is an A, a B, and a C than 1-2, 1-2, right? So also the other thing is, because of time from 0 to C, we can see that this low was in before a 0.382. So I do think we're just waiting for this. And this would be the region where I would be very interested in SUI again. When I go into the lower time frames, I'll show you why I have any interest at all in SUI and what keeps me a little bit on the hook. Is the potential for a 5-wave motion here, right? So it can be, and when we put math on it, math says from low to high to low. Oops, I'm just drawing all over the screen right now. I apologize. How about this? That we did get impulsive. So if this starts with a valid 5-wave motion that does get impulsive, meaning wave 3 hits 1.618, pulls back shallow in a 4, finishes with 5 more, probability in Elliott wave says that that either is an A or a 1. Due to the counts that we just looked at on the macro, I do think that you're working on an ABC. I do think there can always be the probability that that is a B wave low that you're getting, and this was just the first leg of it, right? So if this was, let me make sure my magnet wasn't on. If this is a WXY or an ABC, right, it was a 3-wave motion to start this. The same with this. This is a 3-wave motion, right? And now we have this very hideous thing to the downside. The other thing that you should be paying attention to is what on your RSI? You have what? Hidden bold divergence, right? You have a lower low on the RSI, but not on price action. This is how it could surprisingly make a reversal on you that you don't expect. Now, if it did, you would be looking for a strong 5-wave motion to the upside that would give a partner leg of this first A wave, right? So you measure from the low to the high to the low, turn on our corrective trend-based fib extensions, and you're looking for around 575 to 714 as your most probable zone with a possible move to $8.16. Let me write down flare. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one other chart that I missed there. It was for amazing. RBNT. RBNT. Now I know who you are. You asked me on Twitter also, I think, right, Mr. Amazing? I got flare spot for Delta. And no, we have not done XRP yet, my friend. But I promise you it will get done. And I promise you it will be time-stamped. And I'll get you taken care of, okay? I'm sorry it's taken a little bit. I like to give every single chart that individual love and care to make sure you guys have good analysis moving forwards, okay? All right. Now, whether this whole thing is a WXY or whatever the fuck you want to argue, I don't give a shit. What you need is a 5-wave motion to finish this. I'm going to stay bullish on SUI because of this leg, and I'm waiting for it to get a partner leg. This is not its partner leg, right? A C wave does not stop short at a 0.618 unless you have a triangle in your B wave, right? So if you had 5 waves up in A, this is just a little Elliott wave thing real quick, and then you made a complicated B wave, 3 down in A, 3 up in B, 3 down in C, 3 up in D, 3 down in E, right? You could say, bye, Marco, I'll get all your stuff done, buddy. No sweat. Then you could say, yo, now I'm expecting a sharp or a shallow 5 waves in C that's going to throw everybody off, okay? But we don't have a triangle in B, so I'm not looking for that here. All right, so we did SUI. Let's move into Ski Mask Dog. This is going to be fucking exhilarating, I have a feeling. Ski Mask Dog does not pop up. Do you know what its ticker is? Ski. Let's put this as crypto only. Ski USD maybe. I can't find it on Coinbase, but I do have Ski Mask Dog on MEXC, so we'll go with that for now. Oh man. Well, don't disappoint her. Get in there and say goodnight, my dude. We'll still be here when you get back. All right, so just while I'm already here on the daily for Ski Mask Dog, that's what a fucking jackass name. This looks like 3 waves up and 3 waves down and 5 waves to the upside. So this is likely an A, a B, and a C to start this, right? So overall a 3-wave motion. Now what do we see? Looks like 3 waves to the downside, right? Worst fucking chart of the day. This could somehow be an ending diagonal in the C wave. And you could get me behind this. Let's check the 3-to-5 ratio of it. Oh my gosh, how many times am I going to do that this stream? Here we go. Apologize, guys. I don't know if you're still here with the Ski Mask Dog, but you might have caught a little bit of a weird reversal here that you might be able to do something with. All right, let's see if we can make this make sense on every level before we give it any probability. You can clearly see that the wave 5 is currently smaller than the wave 3. You can currently see that it could be an ending diagonal because you could say 3 waves down and 3 waves down and 3 waves down, right? So everything in an ending diagonal must occur in 3-wave motions. Now let's check our 2-to-4 ratio to make sure we're not bigger there. To my eyeballs it says no. So this is wave 2's height of achievement. Wave 4's height of achievement does not hit a 1-to-1. Let me get rid of this. Does not hit a 1-to-1 and makes a 3-wave motion. Now let's zoom in a little bit more on this time frame because I want to see if we get hidden bull or hidden bear between the 4 and the 2. No. So you did not get hidden bear, but it's still okay. All right. The other thing is it should be contracting, right? And you would say that these 2 lines would converge. So it is a contracting diagonal of some kind as most probable. Now let's make it make sense with fibs. Zoom back out. What brought you to find this coin, man? Right, dude, right? That's what I'd be going for, Addy. The other thing to remember is this, my guy. Anytime things are in a falling pattern, right? I'm just generally put these on because trend lines are a crock of shit. They don't really matter. So just get all your generalized, the best touches you can. Now, all of these old areas of interest, as this was falling down the wedge, that were contact points, often become resistances, right? Now, if we were to put some retracement fibs on here, I think we'll see quickly what those common areas of retracement are. So 786, as Addy pointed out in the chats, is a very common area of resistance to run into after a diagonal. And also, it was the last point of contact as it fell down the descending wedge, right? Making it a probable point of contact when we come back up. So if you can see this start to break the daily moving average on the RSI around 40.5 and start to come up out of this falling wedge, we could be in store for more, right? But for now, I would say be patient, stay calm. The reason why is because this is not a high efficacy play yet, right? And to be honest with you, this would also be something I hope that you're trying to become a spot consumer on versus a leverage person, okay? Because I would not want to be fucking with this with leverage yet. The reason why is because you can see off the lows, nothing has confirmed an impulse, right? You can even see this starts with 3 waves and comes down in 3 waves, right? And even now, crap, right? And the RSI is cranked out of its mind. So just stay patient on this one. What I'm saying is what I would be looking for, instead of a 3-wave start like what you have here, I would be looking to see, can I get displacement, get some FOMO, pull back, get a high, and then let's start thinking about a scary pullback to buy, okay? But for now, Ski Mask Dog will just be on the watch list. It'll just be something we kind of keep our eyes on, okay? The other thing I would really like to see, and I'll show you this. And nah, we don't have time for it. We'll do it another time. All right, Ski Mask Dog is done. Let's move on to Cookie. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. We've got 15 people in the house. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully good. All right, let's keep this thing going. Now, the reason we're interested in Cookie, and you'll hear time and time people ask, is because we've been managing and watching this one in the Discord community. Excuse me. And looking for a potential reversal sooner than later, hopefully, for my holdings and whomever else was also playing around. Big thing you should notice here on the RSI is that you have higher closures on RSI, but not on price action, right? That is a regular bull divergence. Now let's see, along with that, how the volume acted. Now the volume continued to fall off throughout this, and no one's really showing much interest at all. So I would say a move to get the liquidity moving again would be what we're looking for. And in my opinion, I would say a move to the upside to that daily bull control zone is what I'm looking for right now at 13 cents. But the main thing that keeps me hyper focused and why I keep watching this is that this move is around a 420% motion, right? So we're looking for its partner leg at some point of around 420% minimum. And I'm not saying that to like get you stoked. Don't go bet the farm on this. This is super high risk. This is something we're going to allow very little of our money and liquidity into. It's called Cookie for shit's sake. So don't overinvest. I would say on the low time frames, our hope for reversal right now, I hope somebody can see it without me having to scream it out loud. But this low, unfortunately, looks like a 3-wave motion to me here. But you could try to keep me hopeful that somehow, some way, you know, that it's not, and that you're making some sort of 1-2 stacking, and that's why you're getting this wedging motion. But if we could get a breakout on this with some separation, that will help us confirm this pivot, right? So let's see, can we get through this 50 level of the RSI here on a 4-hour? Can we get through the 50 EMA on the 4-hour around 0.109? And if so, I think Cookie could get going. But I do think I would rather stay fixated on my daily and weekly targets for the fact that I'm looking for a 3-wave motion to the upside, okay? Now, if we can get that last push in this to finish the 3-wave motion, we'll also be having a channel on it at that point. We can't confirm this channel low at this point because we haven't made a pivot. But that would then give us things to look for like a center line resistance and a top. That would also be able to help us confirm a pivot so we can start to even begin to look for those targets to the upside to 1 through 1.382, or 50 cents through challenging $1. Now these are gigantic moves here on Cookie, but they can happen, okay? So it's something to be aware of. All right, let's keep on rolling. Anybody has any question about it, let me know. The next one we're going to move into is Chainlink. I, unfortunately, did not buy Chainlink yet, and I feel like an asshole. It didn't quite come down to where I wanted it to come to. I'm not going to review every single thing in this stream. If you want me to go over the macro targets and stuff for Chainlink, come to the Discord community or go watch my latest streams before this one and you'll see more of the macro. But for right now, what I'm watching toward the downside and what I posted in the Discord community was the possibility that we were making an ABC to the downside. Now, I want you to know that in the community, they knew about this B wave back here, right? They knew about this pivot over here. They knew this displacement was coming, okay? So get in the know. There's a week free trial in my bio, and if you don't have it, let me know. I'll also share it in the chat really quickly. But if you need anything, dude, you reach out to me. I'm always there. I'm not going to be like any of these other people who have ever told you they're going to be there for you before and never shown up. I always show up. So here's that link if you need it. It's a valid link. It's posted by me. I'll pin it to the chat. So if you need anything, you just let me know. Come in there, say, hey, Surf, it's me, so-and-so from the live streams. Come on in, right? And just say, yo, I have a question, right? Let me make sure I get this pinned and properly thing. The YouTube is so slow to get stuff done that I want. Let me see if it'll let me. All right, sorry guys, I'm new to this, obviously. All right, so now that's pinned up there. If anybody needs anything, that's the Discord trial. You get in there whenever you want, just let me know. All right, let's keep on going. So on Chainlink, what I was looking for was one more low in the C wave, right? When we moved our extensions from 0 to possible low of 1 to possible 2 or high, we can see that we come down to 1.618, right? So when we look within this leg, I was seeing it as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, now making 4 and looking to make 5. I think that everybody's going to tell you this is making an inverse head and shoulders. This likely will come down and back up again and then give displacement of 5 waves within wave 5 of C. I am looking to be buying Chainlink between the range of 1880 to 1790 would be my area of interest. I would be looking to pick it up. I think the next moves on this are going to be just doubling my return on my investment, right? So we're going to be looking at those weekly targets that we've talked about numerous times on Chainlink, and those come in on a linear chart that we've talked about. And that is how we get Chainlink to tickle the tip and run her up to around $100, right? So I've made multiple videos on this. I have a YouTube short on this. The 1-2 stacking, this is likely a lot of 1-2 stacking. So any opportunities you get at Chainlink under $20 are fucking really good in my opinion until we invalidate the path. I think it's right here. I can't tell from zoomed out, but somewhere in there. So for me, I'm biased towards the upside. I'm looking for $80 to triple-digit Chainlink for that next move off of this. So I think they're doing what they have to shake all these weak hands out. The next thing we're going to look for is grid on the DEX for Spain. Let's see if I can get it. Is this the chart that you want, sir? Now I see why it looks familiar. You and I have talked about this at some point, I think. So, you know how I feel about Deck Screener. You know how I feel about all this. What I'm going to have to side with, even though I don't want to, is that somehow this is the start of something, and this is its correction, and the start of something, and its correction, and it's likely to keep moving towards the upside, right? Even if this made a larger correction to give one more low into the fair value gap, I wouldn't care if this even gave a 3-waver here. But I think that this sort of wedging and rising towards the upside, people are going to keep seeing as weakness. I don't know what this project does. I will say that I do not like seeing a volume of $240,000. This is bullshit liquidity. $125,000. Fuck this thing. I could buy this right now myself. I have no interest in this. Yeah, fuck that. No. This looks like a 5-wave motion within here. This looks like it could be some sort of correction in a 333. If you're lucky, this is what you're looking for, is one more high. But I want you to be aware that high could have already achieved. It's not something I'd want to be part of, especially if I've already got a lot of gains on the table. Let's see what the divergences are saying also. So we are getting a divergence on volume and RSI. That's not the most pretty thing to look at. I will say subjectively, I really like this this arcing. Usually that does lead to displacement. Unfortunately, I would like to see this make a 3-wave motion first and give me close to the same arc and to get into this internal fair value gap before I could get too excited, right? Then I would look to maybe put a hundo in the game and see if I could get the breakout, because technically that's what you would be going for, would be that breakout, right? So I would look to see, do you get a resistance here? Let's see if this can't break over the 786, around 50% liquidity of the bullish order flow left behind in that wick. And that would be 0.848. And after which, I would wait to see, can I get extensions on that, as this is some sort of 3-wave correction at that point, right? And again, the internal fair value gap would be my area of interest. But outside of that, these kind of things are very, very dangerous. All right, I'm going to move on. AVAX. Now, AVAX, we took a local play in the Discord on this weekend. I want you to know that you can get me to be bullish on AVAX, unfortunately, because of the potential for this to be a 5-wave motion to the upside and a 3-wave pullback, okay? When I zoom in, you'll see we may or may not be making that reversal, but what's most critical here to understand is that the first leg up on AVAX on the weekly was a 672% move. You're looking for that partner leg, right? So why am I here nitpicking bullshit prices around 20 to 30 bucks and being a fucking whiny baby when the goal here is much more to the upside, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? You're not here for that. Likely you're a spot investor and you're looking for the macro motion. This means that you're seeing AVAX go to around $71 to $93 in that scenario, right? And that's if at ABC, right? That's the ABC target box on linear. That's me being super realistic with you on a weekly. So why are you nitpicking shit here and whining and whining and whining when this has the potential to go to $71, right? It's a substantial gain, right? I'm not telling you to buy right now. I can't give financial advice. But even that's 130% to 200%. That's an amazing move on linear. All right. So now let's go zoom in onto the daily. Go look at the fucking hideousness that is AVAX. All right. This is a very, very difficult correction. For each leg that it makes to the downside. And for me to make this bullish, we have to do some fibbing on the chart, which isn't my favorite, and say that this is wave 1 into 2, and wave 1 into 2, and wave 1 into 2, okay? Now, I want you to know that for my spot bags, that's what I took my chance on. I told everybody in the community I bought 2773 or something like that. We can go check that to get you the actual number, but I played this as an ABC to the downside, and I bought the dip and spot on AVAX, right? So the reason why is because if I'm wrong, whether this is 1 into 2 there, or that correction was difficult and ended here, and it actually starts here into a 1 into 2, it doesn't change that math to the upside a whole shit ton, right? So you're looking for a wave 3 followed by a wave 5 and an impulsive scenario. So that means minimum wave 3 is a 1.618. This is not a wave 3. This is 1-2 stacking, likely in that bullish scenario. So I think you should look for an extended wave 3, a wave 5, and a wave 4. I think that, again, excuse me, throat is dry as hell from talking. Pretty sure that's what did it. Or it's the allergies. Make this a different color. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm playing this as a wave 2. We'll make all this make sense with math, I promise. We already got that guy. Let's do that. Let's change this one. That's what was missing. You gotta just make it a little bigger. Don't waste your time when you're learning L8 wave to be like, oh, this is minor, major, fucking this. You're not a macroeconomist, dude. You're lucky if you even do this shit right 90% of the time, right? So just stay mellow. One thing I want to point you out before I turn that off is how the volume on AVAX is just rising steadily, right? You can even see overall. That's buy volume. Wow, right? Amazing thing to be seeing, especially in the 1-2 stacking scenario that we're talking about. So let's start to make her make sense with math. We're going to go to the innermost wave 1 into the possible wave 2. And we're going to look for its wave 3. Wave 4. Wave 5. Anybody ever watch, what was it called? Talladega Nights? That was the funniest fucking movie. He's always like, the drive for 5, Ricky. Or no, that was, what was that called? The Dukes of Hazzard. That's what it was. The drive for 5, Bobo. Alright, so this would then be yellow wave 3. Potentially coming in. And yellow wave 4. This guy, you ain't even here yet, my dude. You're not even at the party yet. You're still outside. That would be wave 3 finally. 5, 4. Oh, let's keep making this make sense. All right, so we got this. Boom. Leave. Let's delete this one because it's fucking unrealistic and not going to stop there. Let's say this is wave 1. I'm going to have to go to here to just not lie. Go to that low. All right, so that does make sense in an extended wave 3 scenario. So I'm going to slide this up and say you get a bigger fifth than what you planned. And that's your 3. Now we can plot for this 4 now. We can plot for this 4. And then we can get more realistic targets as we go. So if this is, and do keep in mind this is pretty role played out. This is just false. It likely won't come down to a 382. It'll likely be a shallow one, so we'll put it there. And then let's move this down to the next low, which is here, because we're going for a yellow wave 4 at this point in time. To the high of a wave 3, and we'll go for another wave 4. Now this one might be a deeper cut. Maybe this one comes all the way down to test prior degree wave 4, just so it gets in the area. Then again, you would have another wave 4. Now if this works out, this is way, way in the future, right? This is just me making shit up as we go. Back test old 1.618 maybe. Man, this is fucking... This would be crazy. But that would be a lavish $166 AVAX if you got extensions, and if you are going to count this as a first wave 1 into a wave 2. Now, there's a large part of me that even though it's not the low, I may have to start my count there depending on how we see this move to the upside. And that would mean only double 1, 2, which means you only get double 3, 4 stacking and then a final fifth. But that's still, you know, nearly a triple digit AVAX at that point. So I do think that I have to stay bullish on AVAX for right now. Invalidation's pretty easy on this one. Let's go talk about that before we leave. If anybody has any questions, please ask. So I'm going to make my invalidation for my AVAX bags based upon this being a low and a very complicated correction here with this wedging pattern into some sort of triangle that ended a correction into a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then this as an ABC, right? So what I don't want to see right now for my AVAX position is this low to be lost around $27. If it is, it's gonna kind of shoot the scenario in the ass, and then no longer can you say this is 3, 3, 5, right? And you have to admit that you could be wrong. Okay. All right, let's move on from AVAX. The next one we have is VELO. Who do we still got in the house? Are you guys hanging with me here? We've been going for an hour and a half. Oh, let me stretch. Dying here, man. This is a long one. We haven't got into a 2-hour stream in the last couple weeks, you know. All right, and if you guys have any other charts, do get them into the chats. On VELO, unfortunately, this is the VELO USDT pair on KuCoin. My macro counts were to the downside, so I was looking for this to give a nice push towards the downside here in a C wave in a diagonal down to the potential 786 even area. For now, I think this is still the most probable scenario that I'm looking for. You can slightly adjust this if you would like and try to say, oh, well, I want to be more realistic. I'm going to look at it on linear. Let's see what happens. But for now on this guy, because of the way that structures were built towards the upside, it's charting best on logarithmic on the weekly. So granted, this isn't the best start of anything towards the downside unless it's 1, 2, 1, 2 stacking. Which then would pan out into 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 and get us into this deep, deep retracement. Nonetheless, after which you would look for a very strong motion towards the upside, as this was a potential first leg of 3,800%. So you'd be looking for a partner leg of around that much. So VELO could potentially make a very strong motion towards the upside after. I've got this one on Twitter, in the Discord, updated in depth, and we talk about it often. So for now, what you should be looking at is that VELO is under your weekly bull control zone and weekly moving average on the RSI, given those nice, juicy, sweet rejection vibes, right? So let's see what she does. But that's my bias for right now, and I don't own any more because of that. All right, so we hammered that out. I got SUI on there, bud, for you and already taken care of. I hope you're doing well, 6. All right, so we got VELO done. Let's go over Tau and see how that's looking. How are you guys enjoying these style of streams? Are these good for you, bad for you? Do you like them, don't like them? What do you got? Where's my other Tau chart? That is not the one we need. She's usually right here in my list. There it is. Here we go. All right. So the reason that I have any want to stay bullish on this chart comes from the potential on a weekly that this was 5 waves to the upside, and that it also danced along fairly well with Elliott wave as it had the highest volume and highest oscillation within the potential wave 3, and then created a potential bearish divergence on the RSI and a momentum divergence when we had lower volume moving into the wave 5. Excuse me. After which we saw a sharp sell-off, a 3-wave motion toward the upside, and another sharp sell-off. I would love to tell you that it really would. It's very difficult to say with certainty that it is, right? Let me turn off this EMA. I guess let's take a look at that wire here because it is critical. We just talked about this on the last coin. While this is under the weekly bull control zone, 50 RSI and the MA and the 50 EMA, I really have no interest in it, right? So for me, Tau might be something that I move holdings into later in the cycle. And maybe you can say at that point, this is the first wave of something to the upside. But I'm worried that this correction to the downside may not be over yet, okay? So for me, it definitely isn't something I want to buy in spot yet because we have no validity to a reversal yet, right? So if we look at this on the daily, here I'll show you why you can still be bullish on the daily. You have a 5-wave motion here that you could say potentially has displacement and could be impulsive. Let's check it with math to make sure it's not just my eyeballs, because sometimes it doesn't reach 1.618 and it looks like it does, but this one doesn't. So this could make it potentially only a 3-wave motion towards the upside. That would be something to be aware of. The main reason is because your wave 3 never hit 1.618 before making the successive motion toward the upside, right? So it's definitely not my favorite. This gives me hesitation to really want to take part. Now you could get me to lie. Let's also check linear. You could do this like Ethereum and lie and say that yes, it's impulsive. On linear, it maths out, right? Pengu is another one. Same concept here. So I think that is there and there. I need another drink. My throat is dry. I don't know if you've ever had it, but nitro cold brew is quite amazing. All right, so we just looked at something that was very similar to this. And we were like, oh shit, can these things be diagonals? It's a pretty good divergence there. I wonder if it's actual divergence. This was a low of 34.09 and a low of 34.26. So it made lower lows on the price action, but not on RSI. So it's an actual divergence. That's good. All right. Now, can we make it make sense with math? Does it math, Bill? And also we'll put a deceleration channel on it because that's going to be critical. I'm going to show you a little secret. Don't tell anybody. That's the 786. It's kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. All right, get yourself a deceleration channel on this because once the correction breaks the center line, you'll know that it's time to get jiggy with it. I don't like you finding support here in kind of no man's land. It's definitely not the best way for a correction to be over. Usually we'll kind of push down to the bottom of a channel, if not find support on the center line. In this case, you found it as resistance. So I'd be open towards this coming down some more, around 260. So you wouldn't get me to buy this in spot yet. Again, I'm looking for some sort of reversal. Like this obviously has a reversal of some kind. You're looking for this lower time frame now to start building a somewhat similar reversal, then pull back, then displace, pull back, then displace, right? So for now, it has not confirmed it, but let's go look at the ultra low time frame here. With the way this starts in a three-wave fashion, it's going to be very hard to say this is an impulse. This looks like a three-wave correction. So I would just stay sitting on my hands for right now. It would be very hard to call this some sort of impulse, especially if you could have gotten this to make a new low and it came down like that and then made a V-shaped recovery, then you could bullshit a 1 into 2 and a 1 into 2. Right? So right now, even if it starts to break out, be aware that this could just be a three-wave swing towards the upside, okay? So we'll continue to watch it. But for now, I would say Tau is not giving a high probability setup due to off the low. It starts with the three-wave motion, right? Now, super low probability. But in Elliott wave, you can get a truncated move toward the downside that doesn't make a new low in a fifth. But that's not something we count until we see it happen. Now, if we were to get a clean 5 waves off this low and this somehow makes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, it's not to scale, I apologize, and then a 3-wave pullback that holds, and this gives you the 3 swing corrective trend-based fibs, we would take a chance on this because then we could say, okay, well, that's invalidation and I have invalidation of my extensions and retracements, if that makes sense. I'm sure there's somebody out there watching that knows exactly what I'm talking about. All right, let's keep on going. XRP. I don't know if you're still here, Mike, Mr. North. That would be like that'd be a great stage name, Mr. North. Next on the stage. Remember, Mr. North works for your tips and your tips alone. All right. XRP was the other one. I want you to know the same concept applies on XRP's micro. And this is something I shared in my Discord. This starts with a 3-wave motion, right? This is where we were taking longs on XRP based upon the possibility of this being a correction. The problem is it hit the 1.382 as resistance with divergences on the RSI, meaning higher closures on price action, but not on RSI. And it ended on high volume. Likely usual behavior in a C wave, okay? So for now, unfortunately, that's my more probable route that I've got to side with on XRP. Now, if we zoom out and you want to talk to me as being a bull, this is going to get it shaky, but just stay with me. If we go from 0 to 1 to 2, oopsie. You can see that your wave 3 clearly breaks 1.382 and hits an impulsive 1.618, right? What I don't like about this is that we really don't want to see overlap into the top of this wave 1, right? So losing these lows pretty much would invalidate the scenario. So what we want this to be is a very convoluted, very hard WXY or triangle correction to where we have kind of like a weird low that everybody doubts and then it gets going out of it, okay? So when I'm looking for my targets on XRP and I measure off the current low because I don't want that to be lost as invalidation, it gives me around a $3.96 current most probable area of interest as my resistance. Now we can see extended fifth waves kick off sometimes, and I'll show you how we'll know. We'll go from the low to the low to the high. If XRP is able to get going, right, it's able to create enough FOMO that it comes up and out of the channel, we could see it reach these extended fifth wave targets. And those go up as high as $6. Now, if at any point XRP breaks $6, you should consider an ultra bullish scenario could be on the table, okay? And that's the fucking crazy ones where people are like, it's breaking out, it's going to the moon, yabba yabba, right? But for now, let's not get too overzealous. Let's look to see, can XRP break through the bull control zone, or daily value of 50? Can it break through the daily 50 EMA at $2.92 here? I've got it labeled for you. And can it confirm a reversal? If it can do these things, we could be looking to finish the 5 waves of wave 5, which means after which you do expect a giant correction that comes down and takes out all this liquidity and freaks people the shit out, okay? Just be aware of that. All right? All right, let's go look at KAITO for Ray. I don't know if you're still here. Man, I've got a headache today. We got my daughter's sick, she's throwing up. My other kid's sick with a sore throat. One of our other boys just got over it. These kids, man, they go to school and they go to football and stuff, and they bring home super bugs, dude. Like shit that a person our age can't kick, right? The kid will say, oh, my throat's sore. And then you see the adult get the same sickness and they're like fucking dead. That's how it hits me. All right. Sorry, I need another drink. My throat is sore as hell talking. Either that or I've got the bug from these children. All right. KAITO was the next thing we're going to go look at. All right. It is on the Gain base. Holy breakout, Batman. All right. So what you're going to have to do to stay bullish here is adjust your counts. So this would likely be 3, 4, 5. Let's get rid of everything. This is a fucking hoot what it's doing. I don't know what this thing does. I would say it's nice to see that it's getting some volume with it. That's off of a low, which is a good thing, but man. My concern is that this is a correction in an ABC. Even if it comes like this, A, B, and C, that's my biggest concern here. I don't like how cranked up the RSI is either. I go a little bit lower here. God. It wouldn't be something I could give you a high probability run on. Yeah, this is... I can't mess with this one, bud. The chart is choppy. Alright, let's keep running. HBAR. I think I already have this on my watch list. I don't own any more HBAR. We talked about in our weekly streams in the community how we could become bullish on it. The problem here, though, is that you've overlapped your price action of wave 1 and wave 4. And like we talked about in the community, you also would have a larger wave 4 than you would have a wave 2, making it all likely bullshit. And the main reason I wanted to side with all of this and why I don't own anymore is because I was counting it as an ABC towards the upside here, that is my most probable count for it. Because even this leg is atrocious, right? It looks more like 3 up, 3 down, 5 up. And that whole thing looks corrective to me. HBAR is not one that I'm chasing right now. I don't really have a lot of interest in it. My fear was that best case scenario was that this was a 5-wave motion within there. But it's like, man, after that, the chart just goes to correction town, right? Nothing it's done has been impulsive yet. Nothing it's done has given a for sure pivot, right? So with this making just a 3-wave motion towards the upside, I'm going to stay away from HBAR and just keep watching it on the sidelines. I'm not concerned or rushed or don't feel antsy to get into it because it doesn't have a setup for me. All right, what's ONDO look like? You can see very clearly when ONDO invalidated the scenario, right? We talked about that in our live stream. That if you get moved to the upside and you think it's a wave 3 because it hit 1.618, well, if it doesn't back test and hold, it's not, right? Number 1, you invalidate when you overlap into the top of a wave 1. And number 2, you invalidate when you lose what? When you lose your 0.5 retracement from wave 2 lows to wave 3 highs. When you lost that 0.5, you knew it was over, right? And when you hit 0.618, hard invalidation. Top of wave 1, hard invalidation, okay? So to me right now, that this looks like the start of a 5-wave motion to the downside. Again, same concept we've been talking about. You're really trying to bullshit your way through this to try to make this bullish, which I don't think is the best way to go about it. What I would say is that you are giving this some sort of probability to take these highs due to this being a 3-wave motion, right? As soon as that happened, it made it probable to take that high. And then after that, we see a 3-wave motion that comes to around 90% retracement. Again, trying to stack another probability towards why it could possibly take that high. But I would say for now, dude, I can't give you what would be, hey, yeah, ONDO is making a for sure reversal, right? Nothing about its chart yet says that. And that's the same thing as like what we talked about in other charts. I'll show you. You should be able to pick it out pretty easily. Unless this is some weird truncated fifth, which don't count on it, is what we've been taught in Elliott Wave. This is a 3-wave motion off a low, making any of this that it's doing likely corrective. Okay, so if this is 3 up and 3 down and it gives 3 up again, ends on high volume, prepare for new lows. Maybe that's the low you get to buy. But for right now, it still looks off the table for me. RBNT. I don't know what that is. Red Belly Network? That is fucking hilarious. Alright. Nope. 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 Alright. So even if I wanted to be a bull on this, the only way you could is to lie really hard. Say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your 5th wave is larger than your wave 3 is, making it not probable. This is not something I would want to be part of. Let's zoom out here and see if the chart gets any fucking better. Nope. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Nope. It has a divergence on the RSI. But man, this is a hideous chart. RBNT USDT. Does anybody have a longer chart? Nope. RBNT USDT. RBNT. This is called a forever downtrend. That's RD. I want RB. God. RBDNT, right? Oh, fuck off. RBNT. I apologize. That's the perpetual. There's got to be something. That's a longer chart. Oh well, this will work for now. The thing is, you haven't given any reversal signs yet. You still are just most probable scenario here is to continue the downtrend, right? Nothing's telling you, and I mean nothing. Nothing is telling you to buy this, right? Nothing. I can't emphasize that more, that this doesn't give me any signs or symptoms of anything that I would want to see. So I would let that one lie. All right. Looks like flare is the next one we have, and I think the last chart request, guys. So let's go look at flare. If anyone has any other chart requests, do get them in. But as of yet, this is our last one. I am not going to dig deep on this for you, and if that offends you, I don't care. What I will say is that this is becoming a very, very hard thing to track to the upside. Let's get rid of this. I think that I'm in this more for hope than any sort of structure, right? My two goals to the upside for this were for this to make it to the 1-to-1 or the 1.382. For right now, with structures and the way they're shaping up, I would say it might not happen. So if you want to run from this now, run from it. I'm just holding this mainly as a narrative play and the hope that the Flare network were to do something, right? So far, I ain't seen shit. So this is very high risk. So just know that. And if people want more details on it, it was in every other live stream. All right, the next thing someone asked was ASTER. I've been asked this a bunch in the Discord, so we've already been charting it. We took a short on ASTER the other day and sold all out at $1.75 something. Fuck, I can't remember. Yeah, $1.75 here at the 0.618. We'll slightly adjust this again. You can see that we went a little bit lower than what we anticipated. We sold at 176. I apologize. Which is totally cool. It's a great short. It makes money. It's still good. But overall, what I want you to understand about this chart is that it may not be done correcting yet. I don't like the chart. I don't care for it. It has a divergence on volume. It has a divergence on RSI. As it made the new high with higher price action closures that had lower volume and a lower RSI, in my opinion, you're waiting for it to make a retracement, right? So I have no interest in it. The low is in after a 382, which is great, but I would say, you know, I'm still looking for more downside on this. And I think for me, my most probable area of interest is around $1.47, if not down to $1.21, and then you could get me to have interest in this project. But for right now, I have legitimately none. No interest. Yeah, this is one of those fucking CZ Binance projects. There's like 20 or something projects he's got a big boner for, or maybe a little boner, I don't know. But supposedly he's pushing the projects. People are eating it up. People are making money. And then he posted how he's going to take a break and start learning to plank and fucking whatever that means. And people were like, oh my God, that means he's selling. So a bunch of people sold out. And I think that's what kind of caused this little bit of a dip in those projects. Or you could say, hey, it was just in the charts. It was the divergences. It was the Bitcoin chart. It is this. It's that. It's this. You can always come up with a million reasons. But I think that's why we should all invest in learning our strategies, right? So that we have convictions and confidence in the plays that we take so that we can predict where the market possibly may go, right? And by predict, I mean align some strategies so that you can pick bullish and bearish paths, right? You always need to keep that in mind, that there is a bull and a bear path. And And that's what we teach you in my Discord community with me and my friends, is we work together so that we can all learn those strategies, right? We share all our plays out in the open. It's not a trade calls group, but it's a community of like-minded folks working together to grow and move forward in this space, to bring some sort of sustainability to the investments in it, so that we can all be educated. So if you ever need anything, the Discord link is pinned here to the live stream. My week trial is also in my Twitter bio. You can hit that up anytime, and I share it in all my videos and stuff. So I really want to say thank you for all of you guys who came today. This was a very fun live stream. I appreciate you all taking your time to come. We covered Bitcoin, Ethereum, and we covered 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So total, we covered about 18 projects. I'm sure there's a couple small ones in there that we also hit up, but this stream will have around 20 altcoins in it, as always. So I will go get this timestamp so that you guys can look back through and look up anything that you want to cover. So again, as always, guys, thank you for coming. Thank you for making the time to be here. I'll go get these timestamps done, and I'll see you guys on the next stream. This is every Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is where you'll find me. So catch you guys later. Bye, everybody.